Most client acquisition systems fail not because people lack knowledge, but because they lack alignment between identity, action, and environment. The real battle isn't fought in the CRM or in the script. It's fought inside the nervous system, in the invisible war between fear and movement. The laws of acquisition were built to bridge that gap, a systematic framework that rewires belief, recalibration actions, and restores the power to create opportunity on demand. If you master these principles, client acquisition will never feel mysterious, painful, or random again. It will feel inevitable. The objective of this training is to teach the founders and service providers how to systematically overcome internal resistance, master client acquisition at the root level, so your nervous system and your strategy, and build a self-scaling acquisition. Welcome to the laws of acquisition. Part 1, why you're not getting the clients you want. It wasn't that I didn't know what to do. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Every time I sat down to send outreach, I'd feel this tight knot in my chest. I'd open LinkedIn, stare at the message box, and somehow 30 minutes later, I'd be tweaking my landing page or watching another YouTube video about building your brand. Anything to avoid what I knew I had to do. A founder about rewiring their acquisition identity. This was me a few years ago. There was something wrong with me. I couldn't push forward with doing the work that I know I needed to do. And it sort of, right? Have you ever said this, right? Where you know what to do, but you just don't do it, and then you've already touched the sort of the surface and the real surface of the issue right here. It's not that you don't know the strategies, or it's not that you can't think of the strategies. You got ChatGPT at the hand of your fingertips. Like, you can just ask it 4 ways in which you can get clients. We have the answers. It's just we're not doing what we need to do to get pushed through with what we know we should do. And it's not that you lack access to the right templates, right, or frameworks or software. It's that your nervous system is rejecting the action before your logic ever gets a chance to intervene. You feel resistance, discomfort, fear, and you respond not with force, but with avoidance. What appears as procrastination or overthinking is actually a neurological misalignment. Your subconscious does not believe outreach is safe. And here's the catch. You cannot outwork a nervous system that believes you are under threat. If you've ever found yourself telling yourself that outreach is spammy, or that you don't want to come off as pushy, or that nobody will reply to you anymore, or that you just need a new script, you're not facing a strategy problem. You're facing a belief system problem. The reason you're stuck isn't tactical, it's emotional. And until you learn to address that, no amount of templates or tools will help. And this is why so many talented, intelligent founders build beautiful landing pages, offers, automations, and yet go weeks without booking a single call and making a single sale. They are not broken. They are just afraid, not of the work, but of what the work might reveal. Rejection, judgment, failure, exposure. And without rewiring this response at its root, no tactic in the world can scale your outreach. This is the internal resistance that controls your external results. And this is what happened to me, guys. This is my story, my A-levels. So this is after between the ages of 16 to 18. You have 2 years where you're in the it's called sixth form, where you take A-levels. This is your entrance exams into university, and depending on how well your grades do, it essentially determines how good of a university you get in, which means it determines how good of a job you can get. And in my first year of my A-levels, I failed it. Not failed it on the literal sense, but I got very poor grades. And I have an Asian mother, so she wasn't particularly happy, and that combination alone sort of tells you the gravity of the situation I was in. You know, the disappointment, the silence, the sense of shame. Like, I had not only let myself down, but I had let my family down, my identity, my culture. I wasn't just sad, I was ashamed. I was so guilty and ashamed of myself and angry. I stopped talking about it. I stopped crying. I stopped believing. I literally got rid of friends. I doubled down, and I thought before all of that, like, maybe I just wasn't good enough. Maybe I just wasn't smart enough like the other kids. A lot of them studied hard and got good grades, and they were cruising in their final year. Some got unconditional offers, which basically means you guarantee your spot to university. I, on the other hand, had a choice. I could pity myself, be sad about the situation that I was in. I was essentially at rock bottom at that point, at that age. Or, because I'm at rock bottom, the only way that I can really move is up. So I made a choice. I stripped away my pride and my ego, and I asked for help. I sat over 30 freaking exams in a single calendar year. In a single year, I had an exam every 12 days. Every 2 weeks, I would have an exam. Think about that. Imagine every 2 weeks you had to study for a new exam. And bear in mind, I had to I reset one particular topic, like module, 3 times just to get a good enough grade, to get the grade that I got. My room, I'll find a photo one day. My room was stacked wall to wall with past papers, mock tests, red pen corrections. It was not pretty, but I did it. And I didn't just bounce back because I suddenly became smarter. I came back because I built rhythm, repetition, and belief. I showed up again and again and again until the results caught up. And that's what client acquisition is like. It's not one click funnel. It's not a lucky email. It's the courage to face what makes you flinch and send it away. Right now, you are the system, or your team is the system. Scroll through any acquisition thread online and answer to why aren't you getting clients is almost always tactical, like the subject line, like the script, like the niche, like the split test of the call to action. While these tweaks can absolutely increase conversion, they do nothing if the core engine isn't running, and the engine is you. Because tactical advice assumes you are already taking a consistent action. But what if you're not? What if there are days which you don't feel like it? What if the real problem is that every time you open your CRM, think about following up with your leads, instinctively open up another browser to do search or research or studying or YouTube? What if the brain has already decided at a subconscious level that client acquisition equals pain, and then strategy is freaking irrelevant, right? You're not stuck because you lack the right template. You're stuck because your operating system is prioritizing emotional safety over entrepreneurial exposure, and that's a completely different problem to solve. Here's the thing. Business problems are personal problems, and that's the truth, right? I heard this phrase. Most business problems are personal problems in disguise, right? We don't have business problems. We have personal problems that reflect in our business. That's not self-help fluff, right? This is real. That's patterns recognized from working with thousands of agency owners, service providers, and SaaS founders, right, in the GoHighLevel space. The lack of clients isn't the problem. The real problem is your relationship to rejection, visibility, and discomfort. So let's be honest here. If you're not consistent with outreach, if you're tweaking things behind the scene instead of messaging leads, if you feel like you've tried everything, let's be real here, right? When your pipeline is empty, the instinct is to blame external variables, platforms, timing, algorithms, market. But at the heart of every growth plateau is a mirror, not a map. The relationship you have to rejection, to risk, to attention, and responsibility is what actually steers the ship. And the reason this feels so hard to change is because you've likely built your entire professional identity on the idea that doing more will solve the problem. But action without internal alignment only creates more friction and eventually burnout. And the hard truth here is you are not struggling with outreach. You are struggling with what outreach represents to you and your nervous system, because being seen, being judged, being responsible for those results, that's what's holding you back. Because maybe you don't feel like you're good enough to be seen. Maybe you feel like you'd be judged by not the failure, but what others will judge you. Your friends, your family will judge you for that failure if you do fail, and when you do fail. And of course, the clients that you serve, the results that you guarantee and you promise them, right? You don't want to be a fraud. You want to be in alignment with what you promise. You want to guarantee them results because you know you can. I can only say with such certainty, this confidence that I have, because I know in my core that I can be seen, because I've done the work, because I don't judge myself anymore for the way that I was. You know, I've let that go. I've been into therapy. I've been hours in this room grinding. I've spent so much discretionary effort to try and build something to give value to others, to get others amazing results. And because of those results, I've received testimonials and reviews. And like, you get my point, guys. Don't build evidence if you're anxious about not being able to deliver results. Build that evidence and you prove to your subconscious mind, maybe you are worth someone working with. And so you avoid the discomfort by getting busier. That's the thing. Instead of getting braver. Until you face the internal block, the belief system that operates growth, that equates growth with danger, you will continue this loop. More planning, more training, more YouTube, more rabbit holes, but no freaking deals, no money, no pipeline. You're likely not dealing with a lead gen issue. You're dealing with a belief identity loop that keeps you stuck. Let's unpack it. This is what I call the outreach avoidance loop. Here's how it happens in real time. You sit down to send your outreach. You feel this wave of discomfort. What if they ignore me? What if I sound cringe? What if I'm bothering people? And your body tenses up. Your mind races. You feel emotionally unsafe. So instead of facing the moment, you buffer, you check your emails, you scroll Slack, you rewrite your offers or optimize your system. This creates a small dopamine hit. You're like, oh, I'm being productive, even though you've actually avoided the thing that creates the momentum. You then justify it. You say, I'll double it tomorrow. But tomorrow comes by and you repeat the same dance over and over again. And the loop hardens. And eventually your avoidance isn't just a behavior, it becomes your identity. You go from, I didn't send the message today, to, I'm just not good at outreach. Right. Or like, that call didn't go well, to, yes, sales is my thing. I want to outsource that. Who said that before? Have you said that? I want to outsource everything. I want to automate everything. I want to automate my business, right? Nobody responded to my last batch of emails. So I guess outreach just doesn't work anymore. These aren't objective truth. They're emotional conclusions made to protect you from pain. Your brain wants relief, not results. At a neurological level, your brain is not wired for growth. It's wired for survival, not income, not growth, not success, and any action that feels risky, feels like visibility, like it risks rejection, risks failure, activates a defense response. Your nervous system is hardwired for one thing only: survival and reproduction. So when you do something that feels risky, like cold outreach, pitching yourself, or facing rejection, your brain doesn't evaluate it rationally. It responds with fight, flight, freeze, fawn, right? People pleasing or perfectionism. This is why, even though logically you know you need to do outreach, you can't seem to do it consistently. And the brain doesn't say, hey, this email might actually help you grow your business. It says this email could result in someone disliking you, thinking you're incompetent, or exposing you to shame. Look how powerful this word is. Shame. How do you feel when I say that to you? Shame. Shame on you. That gives me that like tingles. That's enough. That really is enough for the subconscious to fire the emergency brakes. Not because it's accurate, but because it associates past experiences or rejection or failure with present danger. And in these moments, your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do: keep you safe from perceived threats. And the problem is that the threat just made up a bunch of keyboards, right? Like it's tippy-typey, like if you're sending a cold email, it's type, click enter, send. That's it. It's an emotional ghost. But if it still governs your behavior until you challenge that belief, you're just giving it power. Identity is the operating system of all behavior. This is where the deeper transformation begins, because you don't just act based on your goal, you act based on an identity. If you see yourself as someone who isn't good at sales or just doesn't like outreach, you will unconsciously self-sabotage every attempt to prove yourself wrong. You'll under-message, you'll flinch during sales calls, and you'll disappear after the first no. Like Alexander the Great, who, by the way, conquered the world, like the known world. He conquered it at 26. He crossed deserts, he stormed cities, he led men into the unknown. Look, you are not born into greatness. You have to become it, and not through one grand decision, but through thousands of small, deliberate acts that carve a new identity into your being. Here's the unlock. Identity is not fixed. You can change. It's not a birthright. It's not fate. It's a living pattern shaped by choices, by actions, by willingness to step forward when every cell in your body screams for safety. You don't transform by thinking differently. You transform by acting consistently from new places. A place that says, I serve, I lead, I show up, I initiate, even when it feels hard, especially when it feels hard, because that's just who I am. Late on a Sunday night, I said to myself, I made that promise to myself, hey, I'm going to finish this video because I needed to, because that's just who I am. And I always say most of the time that I'll do, like what I do, I will follow through with. And I'm here now. That just feeds ever so deeply into this positive feedback loop that, hey, whatever I say I'll do, because that's just who I am. And through that repetition, through outreach after outreach, action after action, the nervous system rewires, not by force, but by becoming. This is how you don't just conquer a market, but you conquer yourself. It's no different from the men who once followed Alexander into the unknown, not because they were fearless, but because action created identity, and battle after battle, stride after stride, they became unstoppable, not by nature, but by decision. And you are no different. We're warriors. We're just in a forgotten war. 100 years ago, men my age, right, early 20s, were called up to fight with rifles and bayonets. Today, our battlefield is digital, but the stakes are no less real. Well, metaphorically, right? Our war right now is not against armies, but against mediocrity, right? It's against ourselves. It's against social media. It's against low dopamine activities. It's against the standards that you set against yourself. These freaking guys went to war, man. And you can't even send a cold email or a cold text or do a cold call. You cry after a few rejections. I'm not saying that's nothing wrong to cry. Like, I cry a lot, but like, dude, our mission is now to build excellence, build a product that changes lives, forge reputation that cannot be ignored, recruit warriors into your team, right? And then create companies that actually move with clarity and pride and fire. Why I love the GHL University? I know we are warriors. We are freaking warriors in this digital world, trying to build the best fucking product out there that serves the world. Think about that. Our mission is clear. I want to make GoHighLevel easy for you to use, all right? For you to understand how to make money, how to make digital money, how to retire your family, how for you to retire, how to pass on this legacy to your children, depending on who you are and where you're at, right? How to be able to speak on stages, how to make recurring revenue, how to be leaders. This is not about making noise. This is about crafting and mastering your craft. Leadership isn't something you're given. It isn't. It's something you choose moment by moment when no one's watching, right? I serve, I lead, I show up, I initiate. Now, when it's easy, not when it's easy, but when it's needed. Because every message you send, every call you make, every standard you uphold, it's not just building a business. It's building a warrior. And you are already becoming that person who conquers, right? One decision at a time. I did this activity. Africa, if you're watching this, I appreciate you. She left a beautiful testimonial. I booked a call with Orion thinking we talk about some onboarding videos, but nothing major. Instead, in under 30 minutes, he completely flipped my business around. It wasn't that I lacked business sense. After a few rough years, I lost something more valuable, belief in myself. And let me tell you something, getting on a call with someone younger than your oldest child and realizing that they are the one to help you remember who the hell you are, humbling, transformative, absolutely priceless. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past 20 years on business coaching and personal coaching. This intro call with Orien, worth 100x that in clarity action steps. I cried, I planned, I walked away with a restructured business model that aligns with my big short-term goals while setting me up for long-term success. If you're on the fence, book a call, because Orien sees what you can't and helps you build what you won't until you remember you were made for this. Yeah, I'm now part of the GHL University family. And I cried with her back because it was just, she was in a tough spot. And one of the activities I did with her, right, I said, visualize this. Not visualize this, but just say this out loud with me. Feel free to say it with me as well. I am strong. And she would say, I am strong. And I would say, I am smart. And she'd repeat, I am smart. And then finally she said, I'm going to win the day. And then we'd do a jump and a clap. And we did it 3 or 4 times until she really meant it. She said, I'm strong. I'm smart. And we're going to win the day. And how can you have a bad day when you say that about yourself, even though you might not believe it, but you say it until you believe it. The will to win, the desire to succeed, the urge to reach your full potential. These are the keys that will unlock the door to personal excellence. The belief that kills client acquisition. Before you ever send or even write a message, before you ever click send, even if you get a response, there's a conversation happening inside your mind. That conversation, not your market, determines your momentum. Outreach lives or die by what you believe it means to you, because these beliefs don't just come from logic. They are emotional, often inherited, unchallenged, and reinforced by tiny failures, current or previous life. Most of them were formed during moments of pain, embarrassment, or uncertainty, and never updated. Right? You don't really question it, right? You're like, oh, that's just how I act. That's just how I feel. So they calcify, and when repeated enough, they become part of your identity. But beliefs are not reality. They're decisions, they're temporary agreements we make with fear. Let's unmake the ones that keep you stuck. Below is a categorized list of the most common limiting beliefs, organized by theme to help you self-audit. These are the ones I've seen often most in client acquisition systems. Number 1, unmasking your limiting beliefs. These beliefs are often lurking behind the surface. Recognizing and addressing them is the first crucial step towards lasting success. Category 1, I am not good enough. Do you believe that? I don't. I think I'm fucking great. These insidious beliefs whisper that you fundamentally lack the inherent qualities behind needed to thrive, right? I'm that type of person. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm this. La 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 la. I don't even want to read it because it's not true to me. Sales, for instance, right, isn't an innate personality trait. It's a skill honed through clarity of communication and consistent practice. The most effective closes are made, not born. Because hey, here's some actionable solutions, right? If you're struggling with sales and you don't believe you're good enough, consciously reprogram your self-perception. Repeat these affirmations, right? I'm big, I'm strong, I'm going to win the day. I'm learning to sell, for instance, right? If you don't think you're good at sales, I'm learning to sell effectively by showing up with clarity and genuine desire to serve. Skill stack, actively develop your sales ability. Engage in weekly role play scenarios like a peer or a mentor to practice different sales situations and refine your approach. Proof loop, cultivate a tangible record of your success. Identify at least 3 wins you've achieved, no matter how big or small, and deliberately reflect on the specific actions you took to create those positive outcomes. Build your proof, improve your skills, reframe your identity. Oh man, I'm not making $1 million a month. Man, I really suck. Okay, well, maybe I'm just learning. Maybe I'm just growing. Maybe I will get there. But for now, I need the skill. I need the proof. Fear of judgment of visibility. These beliefs stem from the anxiety of how your actions will be perceived by others. And here's the truth, guys. Potential clients, they're not irritated by clear and direct communication. They're frustrated by confusion and ambiguity. Being direct and providing value is an act of respect for their time and their needs. Actionable solutions, messaging audits, reframing your rituals, right? Before your outreach session, ask yourself, what would I confidently say if I truly believe this person would genuinely benefit from and want to hear from me? Would you genuinely respond to them? If not, focus on refining your tone and clarity rather than reducing your outreach frequency. Compassion challenge. Shift your outreach focus from self-promotion to genuine help. Send at least 3 outreach messages this week with the primary intention of offering value and assistance without any immediate expectations or of a sale or direct pitch. Category 3, perfectionism and procrastination. Ooh, these behaviors often masquerade as diligent preparation, but frequently serve as avoidance tactics fueled by underlying fear. Common beliefs as such, and then the truth ultimately is that the real world market will provide the most valuable feedback and ultimately shape your offer. True learning occurs through active engagement, launching, not through endless theoretical preparation. Launch, have an MVP, and have micro commitments, just small little commitments. Break down the overwhelming tasks of outreach or of what you need to do in manageable little step-by-step tasks. Daily actions. Schedule a dedicated 15-30 minute block every single day just on the things that you want to commit. And remove things that you don't think are relevant. Audit what you're doing. And if it's a good use of time. If it's not, then get rid of it. Market scarcity beliefs. The market's saturated, is it? Or you're just not good enough. These beliefs are rooted in a fear of intense competition and a pessimistic outlook on the potential of your chosen market. The belief, all these things, which aren't true. The truth, whilst your competition exists, the majority often execute poorly. Your commitment to clarity, consistent effort, and genuine value propositions will make you stand out from the noise. Just be better than the others. Just beat them. Just provide more value. Serve more. Position audit. Clearly articulate your unique selling proposition. Market research. Gain first-hand insights into your target audience. Proof library. Actively seek and document positive reinforcement. Screenshot every encouraging response, positive comments, or expression of interest you receive. Category 5. Beliefs about outreach. These beliefs directly target the act of outreach itself, focusing on its perceived difficulty and unpleasantness or futility. Here's one I dealt with for a long time. Outreach is a reliable pathway to client acquisition. When executed consistently and with genuine care and value, it fundamentally is a numbers game, amplified by the quality of your approach. Outreach stack. Commit to focused outreach in efforts, right? Try and do at least 100. I say at least 100 genuine outreach attempts every single day. Warm layering. So reduce the cold friction of your initial outreach by implementing a warm-up strategy. So it's not like they just completely don't know who you are. Maybe you comment, you call them or text them to see if they're interested in doing something low committed. You give something first, like a lead magnet, or you invite them to a podcast so that you can provide value. Repetition ritual. Once you do that, you monitor your emotional state associated with outreach and before and after each outreach session. Number 6, beliefs about sales and money. Goodness. The truth here, right? Ethical selling is an act of service. People genuinely believe and value and are willing to pay for solutions that effectively solve their pressing problems and improve their lives or business. Actionable solutions. Here's an offer statement, right? Clearly define the value you provide. Monetary neutrality. Desensitize yourself to discussing price. Right? There's nothing wrong with price. Price is just matter of fact. Client feedback. Reconnect with at least 3 past satisfied clients and ask, hey, what was the single most valuable aspect of working with me? Number 7. This is the penultimate one. Beliefs about time and capacity. Goodness, these beliefs often manifest as feelings of overwhelm, fear, or burnout, or a false sense of immediate urgency regarding other tasks. A perceived lack of time is often a symptom of inefficient systems, not a fundamental constraint. Sustainable consistency arises from establishing a manageable rhythm, not from unsustainable bursts of frantic activity. What I mean by this is, hey, if you think you do not have time, you actually have a lot of time. You're just not focusing. I've spoken to many people who are like this. They're like, oh, I don't have time to do this. I'm so busy. Well, if you're so busy, why aren't you rich? Because if you're busy, that means, and you're not making more money, but you're busy, means you're doing the wrong activities, right? Is that just not fair? Outreach sprint, implement focused time blocks. Schedule a 30, 40, 50 minute just period where you're just going to sit down and do it. Delivery audit. Systemize your client fulfillment process, right? This can be great ways to make sure that you can outsource that side of things so that you can focus on the outreach and sales side of things. Simplification sprint. Narrow the scope of your initial outreach offer, right? Don't mess around with too many components. Make it simple. And lastly, fate-based and victim beliefs. Me too. These beliefs can feel like immutable truths, but often represent a form of hidden resignation and a disempowering external locus of control. The truth is, genuine luck isn't often the byproduct of consistent motion and relentless experimentation. True confidence is built through repeated action and demonstrable progress. High achievers test more strategies, fail faster, and learn continuously. Track your motion, challenge your biases, and turn your victim into a vision. Consciously reframe your internal dialogue. Whenever you catch yourself thinking, why isn't this working? Immediately replace it with empowering questions like, what specific actions would I try next if I truly believe that this had to work? If you had a gun to your head and it was pointed towards your, loved one, how likely do you think you'd do your outreach? Pretty likely, right? And if I said, hey, if you do your outreach, you could earn $1 million in the next hour. And if you don't do your outreach, I'll shoot your loved one. Pretty extreme, right? But that's the thing. You push towards pleasure or you run away from pain. Which one triggered you more? I got very triggered by the fact that I had a gun to my loved one's head. I'd be very scared and I would do whatever it took to get whatever that person wanted. Find your trigger. Pain is not the problem. Avoidance is. The magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. Look, avoidance is seductive because it offers comfort. But growth demands confrontation, not of people, but belief. The stories you tell yourself about what outreach is, what rejection means, and how and who you have to be to succeed. These stories either liberate you or trap you. The truth is, outreach is uncomfortable at first. You'll be ignored, you'll make mistakes, you'll feel vulnerable, but none of that means you're failing. It means you're forming a new identity, the identity of someone who creates clients instead of waiting for them. This is not about becoming fearless. It's about becoming brave. Because when you stop running from discomfort and start leaning into it, you reclaim your agency. And in that moment, you don't just get clients. You become someone who never runs out of them. And me, personally speaking, I will never run out of clients. I know I can solve problems, and I know people will need me. I will always be in demand, and I will always make money. Your nervous system is not broken. Let's move beyond the simplistic notion that fear in acquisition is merely a psychological hurdle. It's deeply rooted in the neurobiology, a primal response hardwired for survival. Every instance of hesitation, avoidance, or procrastination when it comes to outreach and sales is underpinned by tangible psychological processes. To truly master the art of acquiring clients, we must first embark on a detailed exploration of what transpires with your body during these moments of apprehension. Step 1, your brain's unwavering focus on survival. At the core of your being lies the amygdala, a crucial almond-shaped structure nestled deep into your brain temporal lobe, right over here. This ancient acts as your internal threat detection, right? Constantly and vigilantly scanning your internal and external environments for any signals that might indicate danger, whether your threat is objectively real or merely perceived by the subconscious mind. So the amygdala detects a potential threat, the possibility of rejection, the sting of judgment, the fear of failure, the discomfort of embarrassment. It immediately detects and triggers a cascade of psychological responses through the sympathetic nervous system, and this is well known, the fight or flight response, an evolutionary mechanism designed to prepare you to either confront or escape immediate psychological and physiological danger. In context, client acquisition. You may get a variety of symptoms that include preemptive sweats, the illusion of productivity, right? Scrolling through Slack and Google and research, paralysis of over-analysis, a racing heartbeat, and finally the digital escape route, the urge to compulsively check your email box or scroll through social media or not pay attention to this meeting and this training. Make this full screen, guys. Pay attention with me because you know you need to avoid this. Not avoid this, but conquer this. So stop trying to escape from this world. This is your world. You live in the greatest, you can make your world a fairy tale, a true fairy tale. My life has become a fairy tale. Life is so good, man, because I deleted social media. I tried to remove the distractions. I overcame my paralysis from over-analysis. I have my lovely fiance who keeps me accountable, even though I do get the pre-sweats, even though I do get the racing heartbeat, but I built enough confidence and I built enough proof to validate my confidence. Next, the nervous system equates social risk with mortal danger. Why is that? Why do you think you react like that, even though it's a couple emails, couple SMSs, a sales call? The answer lies deeply within our evolutionary biology. In the ancestral environments that shape our neurological wiring, being ostracized or rejected from social groups, the tribe carried a literal death sentence. Survival in a hostile world was it's inextricably linked to belonging and social acceptance. Being cast out meant isolation, lack of protection, and severely diminished chances of finding food and shelter. Over millennia, our brains evolved to forge a powerful and deeply ingrained association between social disapproval and mortal risk. This wiring, whilst crucial for our survival in our distant past, hasn't fully adapted to the drastically different social landscapes of the modern world. And therefore, when you experience the fear associated with acquisition, fear of ignorance, fear of referendum, the fear of incompetence, your nervous system, operating on an ancient programming, by the way, interprets these social risks as genuine threats to your survival. This biological misinterpretation fuels the intensity of your fear response. This happened to me in high school as well. Got orchestrated from a group. Now I pick my groups very carefully. Step 3, the shutdown. Your brain executive goes offline under pressure. When the alarm bells of fear are triggered within the amygdala, the resulting surges of stress hormones has significant impact on the critical areas of your brain, particularly the prefrontal cortex. This is the seat of your execution function, the brain region responsible for rational decision-making, strategic planning, logical thought, and goal-orientated directions. Under the intense pressure of perceived threat, the prefrontal cortex begins to down-regulate its activity. The neurological shutdown. It's a protective mechanism prioritizing immediate survival instincts over complex cognitive processes. In essence, you go into fight or flight. The neurological hijacking explains why even when your conscious mind clearly understands what needs to be done, I just need to send more messages, or I know I needed that sales script, you feel utterly incapable. You get mental fog. You get overanalysis paralysis, right? You freeze in response. Your mind goes cloudy. It truly is vital to understand that the neurological response is a form of biological protection, not a reflection of personal failings such as laziness, inherent weakness, or a lack of drive. Your brain is simply prioritizing perceived immediate safety over long-term goals, right? Reclaiming control through psychological interventions. This is what you need to do. Given that the fear response originates within the body and an intricate network of nervous systems, the most effective strategies for overthinking it are those that directly address those psychological states. You cannot simply outthink a deeply ingrained biological response. You must learn to navigate and modulate it through body-centered techniques. Here's a practical guidance and approach to rewiring your fear for response. Name it or tame it. Number 1, when you feel the familiar sensing of fear, just consciously like verbalize it. This is just fear. Right? My ancient brain is misinterpreting a situation that's dangerous. I'm sat at home on my keyboards writing an email or sending a message to this person. What does it matter? Why it works? Well, you simply active naming your emotion activates your prefrontal cortex, which is the rational part of your brain, and this activation actually calms you down, calms the amygdala down. Hey, chill out, dude. This is not a big deal. It helps down-regulate the activity. Number 2, you change your state of physicality. Immediately engage in a brief physical movement, do some push-ups, perform 5 jumping jacks, do 5 or 10 deep breaths. Fear thrives in stillness and inactivity because physical motion and controlled breathing patterns directly counteract the psychological manifestation of fear, disrupting the negative feedback loops between your body and your brain. Number 3, safe exposure, microdosing courage. Set a strict 10-minute timer and commit to sending just 3 outreach messages with a conscious effort to minimize overthinking. Your primary goal during the exercise is not achieving perfection of a specific outcome, but rather breaking the pattern of avoidance and demonstrating safety to your nervous system. This technique utilizes the principle of gradual exposure by repeatedly engaging in the feared activity, outreach, for instance, in a safe and controlled environment. Your body learns through direct experience that outreach does not equate to danger, and this evidence-based learning gradually rewires your brain's threat assessment and reduces the intensity of the fear response over time. Number 4, grounding your systems. Before you even engage in a focused block of outreach messages or a primed scheduled sales call, establish a brief ritual to ground your nervous system and prime your mind. Take several slow, deep breaths to center yourself and reduce anxiety. Okay. Mentally repeat a calming affirmation that reframes the situation. This is an act of service, an opportunity to help someone, not a life or death situation. Engage in brief visualization exercises, right? Focusing on a calm, confident, and successful interaction. And then rather than dwelling on worst case scenarios. And then finally, why it works. This pre-activity ritual helps to consciously activate your parasympathetic nervous system, promoting a state of calm and focus by reframing the situation as one service and visualizing positive outcomes. This is the final truth, guys. Mastering client acquisition is not solely a matter of learning business strategies and marketing tactics. It fundamentally is a process of biological reconditioning, retraining your nervous system to respond to the perceived threats of outreach and sales with resilience rather than fear. Every deliberate outreach attempt you make, every sales conversation you engage in, it's not just a step towards acquiring a client, it's an act of nervous system training, repeat like ice exposure, whatever, you know what I'm saying. When you develop a deep understanding of fear for what it truly is, a complex set of biological data, not an accurate indicator of actually genuine danger in the context, you can begin to show up in your business with a new profound clarity and sense of calm confidence rather than being captive by panic and avoidance. And here's the final part. Finally, after you've conquered your own biological fears and sort of the breakdown of why the nervous system is reacting in the way it is, we come down to the 13 laws and how to apply them. These are the laws of acquisition, and there are 13 of them. Will provide you with an unshakable framework for your efforts. Here are the 13. Consistency is king. Volume solves most problems. Follow-up wins. Offer is everything. Simplicity wins. Proof before scale. Action before beats doubt. Outreach is a filter. Don't outsource prematurely. Lag is real. Add your own voice. Curiosity converts, and expansion is the real game. Print this out. Put it on your wall. Consistency is king. What do I mean by this? If there's no volume, there's no momentum. There's no momentum. There's no pipeline. Do it daily for a month. See what happens. See how much money you make. Volume solves most problems. The power of iteration, right? So the more outreach you get, the more data you get, and the more swings, the more bats you get. Scale first, refine second. Each message sent, what does it mean? This data is crucial for refining your message, and whilst quality is paramount in the long run, focusing on the initial volume allows you to rapidly identify patterns and accelerate your learning curve. Number 3, follow-up wins. The art of persistent nurturing, right? Most conversations happen after 2 to 3 touch points. If there's no follow-up, there are no closes. Here's a crazy follow-up stat. Nearly half of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. And did you know 80% of those sales are made on the 5th and 12th contact? So if you're saying, if you just follow up with a prospect, you're better than half of the sales reps out there in the world. Offer is everything. Your offer is everything. The irresistible core of your value. If you have a great offer, that just makes everything so much easier. Your cost per lead, your lead flow, your number of booked calls, the booked calls that actually show, your sales conversion rate, your fulfillment, right? Fix the promise before the process. No matter how slick your messaging or how sophisticated your outreach strategy, a weak or uncompelling offer that people don't understand, that you can't communicate well, will consistently underperform. Your offer is the fundamental promise of value you provide to your clients. It will most directly address a significant pain point, deliver a tangible benefit, and be perceived as highly desirable by your target audience. Number 5, simplicity wins the power of clarity in cold outreach. Specifically, clarity beats detail. Less is more in cold and warm, actually. In the initial stages of cold outreach, you have a very limited window to capture attention and pique interest. Complexity and excessive details will overwhelm and confuse your prospect. Don't think whistles, think the feeling of the vehicle. Proof before scale, validating success before expansion. Don't scale noise, test small scale what works. Resist the temptation to amplify a flawed or unproven acquisition strategy. There's just scaling ineffective outreach only magnifies inefficiency and wastes resources. Before you invest heavily in automations, paid advertising, or a large team, ensure your core messaging and your offer and outreach methods are actually generating results on a small scale. Number 7, action beats doubt. Overcoming inertia through momentum. Fear grows in stillness. Send 10 messages now. Do it now. Pause the video. Send messages now. Just do it. Find 10 random strangers on Facebook. DM them. Pause. Do it. I assume you've done it. If you've not done it, I'm still going to wait for you. Pause the video. Go do it. Well done. Woo. You did such a good job. Because that's what you are. That's the type of person you are. You follow through what you say you're going to do. And you did it. The biggest obstacle to client acquisition is often the internal resistance fueled by the fear. Did you actually do it, guys? If you didn't do it, I'm ashamed of you. I'm ashamed. Go do it. Send 11. Why not? What's the harm? Even small steps forward can break the cycle of paralysis and build positive momentum. Number 8, outreach is a filter, trusting the market's judgment. Let the market qualify, don't prejudge. Always send the messages. It's easy to fall into the trap of making assumption about who might be interested in your offer. You might think they're busy, they're not interested, they can't afford it, they're not a good fit. I made that mistake. I remember listening to a lady who was like, oh, I'm only making this amount of money. And I thought, you probably can't afford our most expensive package. Here's what I think would be a best fit for you. She said to me, well, what if I had a rich uncle? Best not frame it that way. So I was like, oh, you are right. Frame it in a way in which they would like it. Don't outsource prematurely, mastering the fundamentals. Build it before you delegate it. Setters amplify systems. They don't build them. Before you try and outsource client acquisition tasks, especially in the early stages of your business, you run a risk. You run wasting even more money than you think you would, right? So you need to deeply understand the entire process before you can effectively delegate it. By personally engaging in outreach, sales, and even internal fulfillment, you gain valuable insights into what actually works, what doesn't, and the nuances of your ideal client. For instance, appointment setting and the other outsourced roles are designed to amplify existing proven systems, not to build them from scratch. Attempting to outsource before you have solid understanding of the fundamentals is like hiring a conductor for an orchestra that hasn't even learned how to play its instruments yet. Think about that. Lag is real. Understanding the delayed impact of your efforts. Outreach works on delay. What you send today, booked calls next week. The work we do today, the date that we are now, will result in the rewards 6 to 12 months later. Next year, this time, I will see the results of the work that I put in now. Client acquisition works the same, except maybe not that long of a time horizon, particularly through organic outbounds methods, right? Like if you're sending a DM or an email, they might check it in a week. They might respond to your third follow-up a week later, and they might book a call a week down the line. But that's 3 weeks from your initial outreach. And you might just tell me like, okay, this actually doesn't work. There's latency in what you do. So understanding the lag time is crucial for maintaining motivation, avoiding discouragement, and don't expect instant gratification. Focus on consistent effort and trust that seeds your plant today with eventual blossom into booked calls and new clients on the day and weeks that come in. Patience and persistence are key when navigating this inherent delay. Add your voice. Authenticity breeds connection. Because look, copy-paste scripts fail. Inject your own tone. Inject your own voice. In this world of saturated generic marketing, like authenticity is a powerful differentiator. When scripts and templates can be proving like to be a good starting point, blindly copying pasting them will often result in impersonal and ineffective outreach. Inject your own unique voice, your unique and genuine insights, and your personal perspective into the communication. Curiosity converts. Lastly, penultimately, right? So if you overshare details, you kill the interest. You leave them wanting, not like actually wanting to engage in the call and showing up. The goal of your initial outreach is to often pique curiosity and encourage further engagement, typically in the form of scheduled calls. Oversharing all of your details and your offer upfront can diminish intrigue, reduce the incentive for a prospect to learn more. And finally, expansion is the real game. Getting the clients is the beginning. Retaining, growing, and multiplying is the real game. While acquiring new clients is essential for growth, it's crucial to recognize that the initial sale is the first step in the potential long and valuable relationship. The true game of business lies in retaining those clients, nurturing their growth, and leveraging them to generate further referrals and testimonials, right? So focus solely on acquisition without a strategy for client retention and expansion is like constantly filling a leaky bucket. Prioritize building strong relationships, delivering exceptional results, and creating opportunities for your clients to grow and advocate your services. This long-term perspective is the key to sustainable growth and exponential business growth. Conclusions. You were built for this. Client acquisition is not reserved for the rare few who were just born with it, just like Alexander the Great. It's not a matter of luck, timing, or hidden facts. It's a skill one built intentionally, taking action, identity rewiring, and emotional resilience. The discomfort you feel around outreach isn't just a sign you're broken. It's evidence you're stepping into a new identity. It's one capable of creating opportunity rather than waiting for it. And every outreach message, every follow-up, every act of service moves you further from fear and closer to mastery. This journey isn't just about booking calls or closing more deals. It's about becoming the person and the kind of person who no longer negotiates with self-doubt. The kind of person who acts on the face of uncertainty, and the kind of person who chooses expansion over avoidance. The 13 laws of acquisition are not tactics. They are the ways of thinking, a way of operating. Internalize them, live with them, and you will not just grow your pipeline. You will build an identity that scales beyond strategies, platforms, or market conditions, because the truth is simple. The most valuable asset in client acquisition, it's not your offer, it's not your script, it's not even your funnel, it's you. You are the system, the strategy, the engine, and you were built for this. So thank you so much for watching. Go through these worksheets, please. Audit your beliefs. What do you believe in? Go through your self-doubts, your fear of judgment, social shame, your perfectionism, your procrastination. Print this out. Do you have these beliefs? If so, why? Reframe it. And then how will you act differently moving forward? And just print it and put it on a wall. That's what I did here as well. Here are a couple more limiting beliefs I found. Right? And I just broke through all of them, limiting beliefs all the way down to 24. Go through them, read through them, like actually reframe your mind. In your mind, like if you believe that you think you're just another marketer, or you're just another high-level agency owner, or you're just another GoHighLevel business, or that you're too introverted, or that if they don't reply, it means you're not good enough. Read through this. Understand your emotional root. Find the truth in it and then reframe it. Thank you so much for watching the Laws of Acquisition. I hope you found this helpful. Just a reminder that you are built for this.